Hi everyone and welcome to Lou's Brews. Today we are going to be making a super cheap 20p a litre hard lemonade. So what we've got here, we've got our lemon juice. We're going to be using 15 ml. We've got our sugar, which is over here. We're going to be using 125 grams of sugar, and then we've got some cold water and then some warm water. And then we're going to be using this as our vessel. So let's jump straight into it. So first things first, 125 grams of sugar, straight into about 500 milliliters of warm water. This is just warm water out the tap. So we're going to pour that straight in. All the equipment has been sanitized beforehand. We're just going to chuck that straight into there and dissolve that. Going to chuck our funnel in the top of our vessel that we're going to use. And then 15 ml of our lemon juice. So our sugar is coming in at 14p for the sugar, 5p for the lemon juice, and the yeast at 1p. We're not saying anything for the water because the water comes in at less than a penny, so we're not saying anything with that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to chuck that in there now as well. Lemon juice in the warm water. Give that another mix, try and dissolve all that sugar. And then pour that straight into here. So like I said guys, this is super cheap. This is 20p a litre. So if you're making this at home on a budget, it's going to be super simple and super cheap. This is our yeast that we're using, the simple bread yeast. Again, that's coming in at 1p because we're going to be using 1/4 of a teaspoon. So we're going to chuck our cold water in now. Just top that up. We're going to leave a little bit of room at the top, so I'm happy with that. That's about right. And then we're just going to give this a shake. So we're going to add some air into it, just to get that going. We're using the cold water to cool it down. So the warm water is to melt the sugar and dissolve the sugar, and then the cold water is just to cool that down. Otherwise, the yeast don't like too hot conditions. So that's ready to go. And then we are going to test this quickly. Again, guys, you don't have to test this. I'm testing it, so you don't have to. So we're just going to get this and chuck a load of that in there. It is super windy here today, so if you can hear anything in the background, that's just my garden furniture going flying. So sorry for any of the wind. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, nearly just come into my bar then. Okay, so we have got our first reading, starting reading at 1.54. 1.054. That's our first reading. Let's just double check that because it's blowing about. Yep, okay, so 1.054. Perfect. Just chuck that in there. And we're going to pour this back in, and now we're going to pitch our yeast. And at the end, we'll take another reading, and then that will give us our percentage. So I'm just going to sling that all back in there. 1/4 of our bread yeast into the pot. So 1/4 is what we're going to be using. There we go. So we're just going to get a scoop of that, and then that in the top. Perfect. So that's it. Just another breakdown in costing for everyone who wants to know. So 5p lemon juice, 14p sugar and 1p yeast and nothing for the water. So there we go. We're just going to give that just a little swish around just to get all that moving. And then we're just going to unscrew the lid ever so slightly because we don't want it to be tight. Perfect. So that is where we want it. Just about there, so it can let some of the there. Okay, so I'm going to give this about a week, and then we're going to be back. So yeah, see you in a week. Okay, and we're back. So it's been just over a week since we did our hard lemonade. We're just going to give it a go. So let's see what it tastes like. Again, it is best to keep these around any fermentation that you're doing. Try not to keep it below 18 degrees. Keep it above 18 degrees and below 34 degrees. So that's like the sweet spot you're looking for. So that's what it's sort of come out like. A little bit darker still. You could leave that for a little bit longer and hope it clears up, but not too bad. So you can smell some of that lemon flavour coming through there. Has got a bit of fizz to it as well. So basically how you get fizz out of a plastic bottle, if you wait for sort of fermentation to nearly be done and then just sort of seal it up and then check on it every sort of few hours just to make sure it's not going to explode. So I just tightened my cap up when it was nearly done and then checked on it in the morning, released the pressure, checked it again in the evening, released the pressure, and then I just kept doing that until we got what we got there. So you can see a few bubbles in the glass, so not too bad. So again, we can taste that lemony flavour. I would recommend once fermentation's done and you drink it, refrigerate it. This is at room temperature at the moment. It's quite hot where I am, so it would taste better if you obviously kept it in the fridge. Okay, pleasantly nice. So I did take some readings earlier. I'm not going to do it now just to speed up the video, guys. But our first reading from our hydrometer was, I've got some notes down here, 1.054, and our finishing one was 0.996. So that's going to give us 8% ABV. So that's coming in at 8%, and all we've used there is some sugar, some lemon juice, and just some water with a bit of bread yeast. So you can make 8% alcohol for 20p. So this was our 20p brew. So all of that just under, well, just under a litre, 20p. So if you guys are interested, just follow that recipe. But yeah. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers.